Feels like Wayne's World up in this thing. I got some rock music playing today, but the reason why you are watching this is because you're trying to figure out, why is my music career stalled out? I mean, my mom told me that I was the best singer ever. And imagine this, when you're singing in the car to all the songs that are on the radio, you know every single word and you know how to sing every single part. In fact, you're a better singer in your car than the people are who are actually in your car on the radio. Why is your music career stalled out? Why is your entrepreneurial career stalled out? Why is your life stalled out? Well, we're going to talk about that on today's Erskin Music Show. We got a special guest, Alex Velte, who's going to come. Alex Velte Music. You guys know I love Gen Z. Them guys pretty cool. So we're going to talk about that today on the Erskin Music Show. Glad you guys could join us. And let's do it. Cool. Love it. Thank you guys for joining at the Erskin Music Show. If you've never seen this show before, then just keep watching and you'll figure out what this is all about. It's all about a guy who we would have never thought could have made it this far, who's doing things in music, and the Lord is doing that. And so we just want to invite you into this conversation today. This is all about us caring for you. Got a special guest, Alex Velte, who's coming on here in just a few minutes. We'll put all his stuff up. But if you guys have never seen this show before, or you have seen this show before, you're probably watching because you have seen this show before and you know it's going to be a good show. So let me just give a quick shout out to the subs and then we'll get started here today. All right. If you're watching us on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, keep watching and enable notifications. All right, let's go. From the jump, I just want to go ahead and say that this is going to be an episode that's going to help ignite your music career. You're plateaued, you're stuck, you're trying to figure out, man, I'm a great singer. I'm great at performances, man. People are like, everybody dancing at the party, like you're taking over, except for some reason you're stalled out. And there's a lot of artists who find themselves in that category, myself included. I have been in that category before. And so what we're going to talk about is some basic things that people don't think about, that if you're going to do this, like if you're really going to do this, I know people who will do this to the extent where they're just like, hey, I just want to play 1 or 2 gigs a year. I'm not talking to you. You play your 1 or 2 gigs a year, it'll be fantastic. You'll have a lot of fun. I'm talking about people who really want to do this to have a career in music. You can do it, my friend, but I just want to encourage you. There's a couple things that you need to master. You see how I played that today? Master. We're going to be talking about mastering. And very, very brief, for those of you who are watching this today, who are just like, hey, I'm introductory, don't go over my head. I want to just stick with you for just a second. I put a link to the show notes. It's at sweetwater.com. Sweetwater.com. If you don't, and they're not giving me any money for this, so I work for free for them at this point. But sweetwater.com has got a link up there that talks about mixing and mastering. Now, I go to Sweetwater. Sometimes I go to other music sources to get gear and to, refurbish certain things, find out what supplies they need. You're going to figure out your way in all of that. But Sweetwater is one of the places that I've used before. And they've got a really cool article that I just wanted to jump on really quickly and talk about, because we're going to get into mixing and mastering. And you just need to know the difference between mixing and mastering. One is sort of a very particular way of understanding each of the voicings within the song. That's mixing. Mastering is kind of broad brush strokes. And here's what the article says. Mixing sessions can be huge. And this is going to be invariably what it is that we're going to talk about on the show today, and other things. Rock pop arrangements can have 32 tracks. Other types of arrangements can have almost 100 plus tracks. And so each of those little intricate parts needs to live somewhere in the song. Mastering sessions, on the other hand, typically consist of one stereo or multi-track per song and possibly multiple stems. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Mixing, you make a lot of adjustments, tweaking this, bringing the balance of this up, making sure that everything is balanced across the board. On the other hand, if you're mastering, it's a complete opposite. It can use subtle, broad strokes that affect the entire song. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. I recognize my guest is already at the door, so we got to let him in.
What's going on?
Alex!
What's up, Erskin? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Pretty swell. Kind of waking up still.
I get it. Well, thank you so much for joining. You're out there in the hinterlands. Where you coming from today?
So I'm from Conway, Arkansas.
Woo! Give a shout out, Conway.
Yeah, no, no. A lot of people, if you don't know where that is, that's like Little Rock, Arkansas. It's pretty close to that.
Yeah. I have something very special for you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yep, I was reading your bio. In fact, I'll read a little bit of it, and because I like to get it right when the special guest is on, and so I'm just going to read a little bit of your bio, the part that I found uniquely
Mhm.
interesting. Um, you have been at it for over 15 years or so. You look like you're about 15 years old, so you started when you're in the crib. He was born with a turntable, and so
Oh,
that was his first gift. Like right on toys, a little toy lawnmower. He didn't have any of those things. He had a
oh,
turntable.
yeah, that's right.
He says in his bio that he finds the thing that really gets him into a song is how it hits his ear, and I think
Mm,
that a lot of people will be tuning in for that. They wouldn't know how to get a great mix. A solid mix can be the difference between cranking up the volume of a song when the chorus hits and hitting skip when it comes up. As well said. Understanding, though, that his life is not entirely music focused. I love this part. Music is not my life. I don't work around the clock. This is because I care about you. And most of all, I do this for my family. Speaking for my family, I'm a proud husband of Grace, father of 2 cats, Augie and Cheesecake. And if you get to know me, I'll be inviting you over to play Halo, have dinner, and pet my cats if they're in the mood. You, sir, are a cat lover. And so, therefore, I got
oh,
to put the
yeah.
moniker up.
There we go. That's what's up. Oh my goodness. Is that just for me?
That is just for you, my
Oh
friend.
my goodness. You were so I was like, oh man, he was ready with that. That's
I'm ready for that because I have been called a cat psychologist. Now, I
oh,
hate all the cats in the entire world, including your cats. I don't even know your cats, but I hate your cats.
oh
And,
man.
be- and because of my bias, my team has considered me to be the cat psychologist because
Mm,
even though I have an ardent, passionate hate for cats, cats love me. They always like
oh,
owners will say, I know the cat probably won't come out of the room. They never come out of the room. If I'm in the house, they come out of the room
uh-huh.
and they'll come to my leg and they'll try to jump up in my lap, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, dude. It's the curse, right? It's that thing like, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And it's like it just comes towards you.
Some people say that cats know, and
Yeah.
like they try to work their way into your heart some kind of way. I
It's
don't know
kind of
how this happens,
it's a little
but
creepy.
yeah, it is a little crazy. But I'm glad that you were taking good care of your cats and taking good care of your family, and that my friend is commendable.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
You already started out with high marks, man. You're a young gun, and I love having the young generation on here because you guys are so willing to share information, things that you learn, and you guys are really skilled at things. And so you share with us just a little bit about your music journey. I know that there's folks that are probably watching this that for some reason they don't know who I am and they don't know who you are, and shame on them.
it.
But
Yeah. How dare they? It's ridiculous.
how dare you not know who we are? But,
Um,
but they're changing all that today. And so just give us a little bit of rundown as to how you got to the place where mixing and mastering is really something that you really see as a calling in your life.
yeah. So it's really interesting. I was kind of thinking through this and I was writing some stuff down and really like the Alex Velte music thing started as like my solo artist project. Like, and I say, in my bio, like, oh, I've been doing this for 15 years because like I started doing music and playing music live, and around like the 2008 era, and like started doing some solo artist stuff, was playing in bands, and was just kind of in this mode of like, I'm trying to figure out where my fit is. And I found a lot of things that I enjoyed, but I was like, okay, like I'm seeing the wisdom in getting really good at something as opposed to just doing everything.
Uh-huh.
So I, did the solo artist thing for a while. When I got married, I was like, okay, solo artist stuff for me, I don't know if this is what I want to go out and do all the time. I kind of enjoy the behind the scenes stuff. And so I got into session work. And session work did that till COVID hit, and then no one was hiring me for sessions anymore because music was not happening. There was no live gigs, there was no studio gigs. It was like everyone stay away, everyone go home. And that hit me really hard. And I remember, praying, and I remember talking to my wife and going, I don't know what the next step is, but I want to be open-minded about that.
Mm-hmm.
And God kind of pushed me towards like, hey, like, let's combine your love for instruments and arrangements. And how about you try producing music for other people? Because people started creating music more when the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, okay, like I can convince one guy to get in the room with me with some masks on and record a song because they've been trapped in their room just trying to arrange and trying to write. And I'll record them. I might play a little guitar with them or some drums.
Mm-hmm.
That started going for a while. And then I figured out about myself. I was like, man, like this is great. But again, going back to like my favorite thing about music is like how it hits my ear. And I noticed that, focusing on producing is kind of, you have to be in that role and really own that role. And you can mix and master music you produce, but it's always going to be better when you can receive that music from a producer, have a completely unobjective or unsubjective ear, and then go, okay, I'm only going to focus on making this as clear, crisp, punchy, and powerful as possible. And so
Mm-hmm.
mixing and mastering was where I found the sweet spot of like, I get to listen to people's music, I get to hear their passions and their stories, and I get to just make it that much clearer. And that excites me to no end.
Yeah. So I've got your website information up here.
Yeah,
And Facebook as well as Instagram, all the different ways that people can reach out to you. Because after this show, I don't know what your workload is like, but your show is going to be blowing up here.
oh man.
But let you react to this for just a second here.
Okay.
I believe, and this is what I've told other artists before, and you could say, nah, you're wrong, or I kind of approach it this way or different. But I've told people that I really am glad that we live in an era where there's so many DAWs that are out there, which
Yeah.
is your digital interface and just
Mhm.
different ways people can record things at home, kind of create an in-home studio. But at
Mhm.
some point, if you're serious about music and want to have music as a career, you've got to take that project, which may be at a demo level, and
Mhm.
you've got to give it to somebody who can actually take it across the finish line and actually finish that project in a way that is going to, for the masses, hit their ear in a pleasing way, and then give you instant credibility as
Yeah.
you enter the conversation. So at some point, a producer's got to step in, a mastering engineer's got to step in, and they've got to take that
Right.
project from home to
Mhm.
professional. And that's the difference that separates people and the investment that people need to be willing to make. Am I wrong about that, or is that?
No, dude, you're so right. And I was thinking about this on my drive yesterday, and this analogy kind of hit me. So, your song it's like you, right? It's like this is an expression. It's a tangible thing that speaks and moves and walks. And if you stand up in front of a crowd with the most incredible message, with the most beautiful lyrics, amazing arrangements, but you're in your underwear, people aren't gonna they're gonna be like, that dude's in his underwear. That's
Yeah, they're
weird.
not
You
going to be able to get past some
you
things.
could be saying the coolest message, or if you're like wearing like, a t-shirt and boxers, like you're not gonna be taken seriously. You might be. Someone might go, "Oh, that's incredible." Mixing and
That's so
mastering
artistic of you.
mixing and mastering to me is like a good suit or like a beautiful dress. It's like it's not you can't change it won't change the person, like it won't change the song. If the song's a bad song, it's a bad song. But if it's a great song in a great dress or a great suit, like that's got people's attention. They're gonna go, I take that seriously. I'm ready to listen. And so to me, like yes, like if you're gonna take music seriously and really invest in your career in the long run, you've got to go for a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer, or like a great producer.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell the story sometimes of how when we moved to Nashville, I
Mhm.
started working on my first Nashville EP, and 7 songs. It was the Let's Ride album. I'd done 2 albums prior to that, and those 2 albums you can't find anywhere because I don't let anybody listen to them.
I get it.
They are not on the same par or the same quality. And I remember we had about $13,000 that were invested in that project, and then we had another $7,000 that we needed to finish the project. Now I'm talking to, this was 9 years ago or so,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I am, wife, 2 kids, and we're $13,000 in. And I'm like, you know what? We need another $7,000. I didn't move to Nashville so that we could come halfway here and get halfway into a project and not finish the thing.
Yep.
And so I sold my truck at the time. It was worth about $8,000. I sold it for about $7,000 so I could buy another car. Finished that project and then started touring with Let's Ride. And I've had people at festivals tell me, and I've had people at radio tell me, the reason why we took you seriously is because we listened to a couple of seconds of your song and we recognized this guy is not just doing stuff in his home studio. He's
Mhm.
actually serious about making a go in music. And it caught our ear a particular way. And so the reason why I tell artists that is like, it may not cost you $20,000, but
Mm.
you are going to have to make some investment
Yeah.
in your career, like a serious investment,
Um,
if you're going to want to make progress on that. Hey man, talk to me about your podcast. You've got some incredible things going on. I watched a little bit of the
yeah.
podcast, and new projects going on all the time. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the podcast for me is kind of a way to give back. It's a few things. It's a way to give back. It's like quite honestly, quite transparently, it's a bit of a lead magnet. I hope that like people hear it and go, "Oh, Alex Velte music mixing. I've got music that needs mixing." Like I hope that's kind of like part of it. But a big part of it is like I've got so many mentors in my life. God's blessed me with so many people. This like team, as I call them, like my friends, my family, like
Uh-huh.
people I've met who are incredible songwriters, who are incredible with finances, who are like really good at fixing cars or finding great cars for people, or like it's all these things. I'm like, man, if I didn't have that, I don't think I would be where I am right now
That's
because
good.
it's not enough to be good at music. You need the right team around you. You need the right life skills. You need the right, it's so many things, so many of these intangibles. And so the studio survival guide, I say, we help artists survive and thrive in the music industry. Surviving is a big thing because it's like, businesses fail within their first 5 years a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a musician, if you got a band, that's a business in a big way, or you should treat it like one. And
Yes.
it's
This
like,
I'm the amen choir is about to come out because you are just speaking all my love languages right now.
oh man, but it's like, and if you treat it like that, then you'll start to see, okay, there's more to this than just my talent. And one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite podcasters, his name is Brian Hood. He does Six Figure Creative now. It was called the Six Figure Home Studio. But Brian said, I might butcher it, but he said, I think it's like passion is not enough. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
have the resources around you. And so for me, the Studio Survival Guide is a way to be another resource to go, hey, like, here are the people in my life. I'm going to have them talk for 45 minutes. Then maybe it'll help you too.
Yeah. I love, 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 love what you're doing as far as that's concerned. In fact, the praise choir loves it.
That's
So,
so awesome. Oh, I love this.
but no, I think that whole aspect of treating things like a business. I've been mentoring a lot of artists because for some reason, um, I don't know, because I guess I'm traveling more with the band. Like my
Mhm.
band is kind of telling more people about who I am, and so there's other artists that either are coming into town and I'm doing co-writes with them,
Nice.
or other artists that are getting ready to move to Nashville that are calling me and reaching out and just saying, hey, what do I need to know?
Yeah.
And so I've told a lot of artists, like, I don't really know too much about the music industry,
Mm.
except for the fact that that's a big business. I'm a small business, but we're both businesses that operate with certain principles.
Mm.
Now, I'm a lot more ministry minded because, I factor into my business the small churches and the small places that don't
Mhm.
have a large budget and, the ability to be able to play for them. There's more things to life than money. Like
Oh, yeah.
we need those things, but at the same time, if I can do 4 shows that are going to make money, then there's one show that may not make any money, but it's a place that I really care about and the people that I care about, then we'll plug that in and try to do those kind of
Yeah, man.
things. But that whole business aspect, just getting people to think of like what you were talking about. I tell people big dream, big team. Like
Yeah,
you've got to start adding people
that's
because
good.
there's no one person who's great at everything. Like you're
Mhm.
going to need merchandise. You're going to need somebody to figure out your books. I've got a CPA that handles all that.
Bro,
You,
yes.
you're going to need people, just encouragers. I have a team of people who just pray. I
Mm.
have people that are encouragement that I reach out to. I have people that I can talk to in various parts of the country that help me with booking. I
Wow.
have a band,
Yeah.
producer, mixing engineer. Like there's all these different people who do all these different things. And normally what people see is on Facebook, they see, oh, look, so-and-so played a show. And I've had, people get in contact with me from them like, hey, we saw this giant concert that you were at, and it was incredible, and we want you to come. And I'm like, well, let's talk about the details of what that looks like. And they're surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Man, well, I got to commend you too. I know this, you're interviewing me, but I want to tell you that, man, I respect you so much. And I was so excited to come on here because I'm like, this is a guy who gets it. Like, this is a guy that I want to learn from. And I'm so young in the industry still that I'm like, I cannot wait to hear what you have to say and what you're doing, and like hearing your stories. And when you were in Conway and we were having breakfast, I was like, I just want to listen to this guy because like he's been through it. He's seen the team. He's got a family. Like, it's always inspiring too to meet someone with like a successful marriage and kids and a healthy, godly relationships in the music industry. Like, that is so rare.
Yeah.
I just commend you for that, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, bro. Hey, I think you'll appreciate this. And if you're watching this today and it's the first time that you've watched the show, like, I think that, as a mixing, mastering engineer, like, you're always looking for that balance. Like, things have just got to be right. Like, they can't be out of balance or they just get grates on your ear. I think in life, like your spiritual life, that is so vital and so important, but you've got to have balance across the board in order to have that harmony in life. Kind of try and do a little analogy there and just say, man, it just wouldn't be right if like I'm super successful in music and yet my family is withering away. Like my wife is not encouraged, my kids are not encouraged, and they don't always love traveling till 2 o'clock in the morning and sleeping in a hotel, then getting back up, and then they don't always love that sort of thing. But across the board, I think I've tried to create balance in my life. And if you're an artist that's out there and you're watching this, and you're like, how do I get balance? Like start with your spiritual life. Like really lock into a local church and people who will hold you accountable and you're accountable to them. And then beyond that, start flowering out these gifts and these passions that you have and connecting with different people. Like your first team, I tell people the first team that they should ever have is their local church and family. That's the first team that you should have.
Yeah.
Because that makes the most sense of people who are able to help you to develop your gifts, hold you accountable for the things that you are doing. And it all generates from there. And so, man, I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, man.
It's been a fun journey, figuring out the different things that as an independent artist, like having the kids travel with me from time to time. My wife, she does a lot of my merchandise now. She's kind of taking over a good chunk of that. I was not making any money. I'm not making any money with merchandise until she started helping me just kind of think through the different things that people would want to see on a table and helping me arrange that. And now that's kind of taken off, and it's given her an entry way into what it is that I do. And so it's kind of, you talk about a business, it's a family business.
Oh, I love that, man. I love that so much.
And so having the kids handle the merch table now, and yes, they play music and they're roadies and all the different things, and so there's just balance there, man. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I keep joking with my wife because she's in occupational therapy school, and I say two jokes. One, I'm like, you're gonna lap me like in finances in the first first 3 months of you working. I'm like,
sure.
But two, I'm like, I might hire you one day because you're very like organized, and I could use some of that in like like managing some of this stuff. Like just like come into my studio and just like overhaul every process that I'm doing because there's something I'm doing wrong. I'm sure that you can do better.
Exactly.
I kid about it, but one day I think I might hire my wife. Like, just please help me.
Oh, absolutely. You'd be crazy if you didn't hire your wife to do something.
Oh man.
She'll be overworked, underpaid, but I'm sure you can make up in other ways.
Yeah, I hope, man. I hope.
So really quickly, talk to us about just how people can connect with you. What kind of projects you're working on. Hopefully this will be something that will give you a boost. And I loved everything like you were talking about when we had breakfast together. I loved everything that you were talking about. And I was like, man, I need to get people connected to this guy, because there might be some people who are not quite ready to move to Nashville and spend $20,000 working on an album. But you're like, hey, I've got to make some progress, and I'm at level 1. I need to go to level 5. I need to go to level 7. And they're looking for people out there that are just like, give me some kind of way to enter into this. And so tell people about how they can do that.
Yeah. So as far as like what this is something I tell people all the time. Like when you hire me as an engineer, it's everyone
Just the
has,
pitch.
yeah, everyone has different experiences. Like, and a lot of times what's awful is I hear like, yeah, the last guy we had, he was kind of, I heard someone say snaky. He was kind of like, just, he was a little, weird about stuff and just kind of hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot about engineers, and it's really sad. And what I tell people is like, you know, I really want to work with you, and obviously like engineer and like mix and master your music, but I want to like help develop you as an artist. And once we connect, it's like, hey, like if you've got questions about like how to book shows, I used to book shows all the time when I was playing live. I still remember how to do that. It's still a muscle that I can stretch and like give you something for. Or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're having a really hard day and you're like, man, like I feel like I don't have anyone to talk to, like, well, like I'm a
I feel
person,
like I'm gonna quit.
so,
Hey.
yeah, it's like musicians like need a friend, and I really try to be a friend and an engineer to people. And so I don't know if that kind of answers your question. I mean, to me, it's like, but broader than that, it's like when I think about, because you kind of asked a while back in the email, like what's a success plan for artists? Like how do they succeed? And I think a big thing, we already talked about team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's you've got to figure out what you do, and I think that's what people often underthink or overthink. Like they kind of like I had a guy tell me like I want to do, and he gave me this list of like 10 things. I'm like, that's really cool that you can do those 10 things, but how are you going to pitch that to someone, to whether it's like you're an artist and you're trying to get booked, or you're a session musician, you're trying to get booked. Like I would rather someone come to me and say like, I I sing, I make great indie pop music. I'm like, okay, indie pop music, that's what this person does. All right, straightforward, let's hear it. Rather than like, yeah, I make indie pop music, and I also make metal music, and I also make alternative rock music, and I'm like, okay, hold on, slow down.
Yeah.
you know, people find success in these like niches or niches, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Like when they can dominate a niche, it's so cool to watch. And people are scared. I'm scared sometimes to be like, I do this because it means I'm kind of saying no to some other things.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find is when artists really go, I'm going to dominate the independent country music pop scene. Like, okay, that's specific. Show me what you do. I want to hear it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
whoa, okay, I like this. And then you find your following, you find your people, and you find, okay, now I'm gathering a following, I'm gathering these people. Maybe it's 50 people who love my indie country pop music. And if you've ever read the article, it's called 1,000 True Fans.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and it's basically like the idea is if you have 1,000 people who love what you do and they pay you $100 a year, which is like people pay more in subscriptions every year, right? For Netflix and Spotify. If you can find 1,000 people to pay you $100 a year, or 500 people to pay you $200 a year, that's $100,000. You just made a six-figure income off of true fans. And so like I tell people, like figure out like who are your people, like who is that tribe of people that love what you do and want to invest in what you do. And then just make plans, like start like planning out, okay, like I'm planning my content, I'm planning my tours, or I'm planning, like just make steps, like start going for it. Don't just talk about it, like do it, enact it, you know.
Woo, I love this guy, man. I am so excited about all the different things that you're doing, and just by God's grace and providence, allowed me to meet you at this kind of beginning stage foundation. I know you've been doing music for 15 years, and I don't mean to be any way disrespectful.
Oh, no,
I'm just simply saying that I'm watching your profile and your platform grow, and it's like you've got all the elements in place. The only thing that you need at this point is just more people to know about who you are. Like the ascendancy of what you're able to do, and the people that you're connected with, and the team that you've built around yourself, and the way that you're proactively thinking is just only going to make you more successful. I told a guy that was touring with me on the last tour that like he's going to be super successful in whatever he does because he shows up on time. He's respectful to people that he comes in contact with. He
Man.
plays really well. He
Mm.
gets along. He's like, you know, I don't know if you watch sports. You watch sports?
Here and there, here and
Here
there.
and there. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, there's some guys that you'll see him on a team and you're like, that player's really not that good, but he seems to always be on a team somewhere. He seems to always stay on a team.
Yeah,
And he's not the best player, but he's always there. We always see him on the sideline. And teams just need those glue people that are there to like they make everything work. They
yeah,
make the locker room environment great. They make post game, pre game, like they're just there. They're dependable. They're a mentor for other people. And this guy, he had this. And so I was just talking to him and saying, you know, the sky's the limit. Like you're gonna, like you play well, but in Nashville, everybody plays
everybody
well.
plays.
And so you got to differentiate yourself some kind of way,
Mhm.
and you're doing that just by your character. And so, thank you
Appreciate
so much, Alex, for all that you do in your character and just the way that you have created a pattern for other artists to follow and really cared for the artist development part of it. Which, you know, unfortunately, record labels where they're at these days, like they're we got to get to the point quickly.
uh,
We got to be able to justify paying this millions of dollars to promote this artist. We got to get a return on our investment relatively
yeah,
quickly. And so if you're not already there at the place where they want you,
yeah.
then there's really no artist development that takes place. And so
Well,
unfortunately, or fortunately, that opens the door for guys like you and myself.
yeah. Well, man, and I appreciate you having me on. And this is great for me, obviously, because like, you know, I want to keep doing this for a while, and so I hope the people listening or friends of the people, you know, listening will know that like my big thing again is like I love to work with independent artists, and like my website even says we mix and master music for an indie alternative artists. Like I love that because that is where I get to go, okay, you've got great music, we're going to make it sound great, and then I'm going to help you like answer those questions about how do I distribute this? How do I sell merch? How should I plan a tour? Should I plan a tour? How do I get shows? How do I find my people? And so like it's like as a shameless plug, like if you're looking for a mixing and mastering engineer who genuinely like cares about you as the artist, I really want to be that guy. And I really want to be what labels sometimes can't be. And it's that, you know, resource of like, hey, like I want you to win. Like I win if you make more music and are successful. Because I mean, tangibly, that means like maybe I get more work. Maybe I get to mix more of your music. But intangibly, it's like you're making music and like, you know, there have been songs that have made me cry. There have been songs that have made me excited. And that can only happen if people keep making music. And so I really want to work with those kinds of people who are putting out meaningful music, and I want to be a partner, not just an engineer.
Awesome. Well done, my friend.
So,
Well done, young man. Real, real, recognize real. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
hey, it's been such a pleasure, man. Yeah, I really appreciate what you do. Keep doing it. Just keep providing this to people out there. Keep giving. And I just think it's so awesome. So
Tell my Conway friends I said hello.
I will, and I will tell them that we need to start planning our trip to Nashville because
Yes,
come
that's
see you.
true.
So
I'm serious about that. I definitely want to see all you guys up here, and we'll have a great time.
we'll make it happen, man.
All right. God bless.
All right, you take care.
All right. Bye-bye. We're just going to rack that one. That one is going to be one that we're going to keep in the annals for a while. That was Alex Velte. Alex Velte Music. Hopefully in subsequent years, you'll be able to go back to that interview and you'll say, man, we remember that guy before he was this guy. And now we're looking at this guy. Just tremendous, tremendous. So Erskin Music Show, we do a lot of different things. It all comes from a biblical worldview and understanding that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so there's no reason for us to ever doubt that he's going to provide and that he's going to lead and give us the direction that we need and the grace that we need in every moment. My overarching question and the thing that I come back to time and time again, if you're an artist that's watching this, is are you connected to Christ? Not just so that you can get something from Christ, but are you really connected to Christ as the source and substance of your life? If you're watching this, on YouTube, Facebook Live, and or Twitter. Please subscribe to the channel and enable the notifications so that we can keep doing all the things that we be doing. All right, before we get out of here, really quickly, there's an opportunity that we want to make you aware of, and it is a songwriting artist development camp that we are doing here in Nashville on May the 13th through the 15th. And so I want to let you guys know about that as we go the show outro today. I'll leave this up there for you guys. Just check it out. You can register for this. Oh, let me get to the screen. You can register for this. And it is a $500 conference. You get over $2,000 worth of value because you're going to have meals, lodging, accommodations, the workshop part of it. But then you also go to the studio and make a demo the last day of the conference. And so you actually have a workshop that is going to create a demo that is hopefully going to jettison your career and some of the things that you're working on. It is an inspirational time together for $500. And it is these dates. Look at me looking like a radio DJ up in this thing. All right. So there's that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's show. It's the Erskin Music Show, and we'll be back later, alligator, with some more fun clips and some fun times.